Salmanan. So I am convinced that one of the main reasons why we struggle with relationship, at least my generation, is media. What we watch, what we consume affects our mind. And I truly believe it's one of the main reasons why we struggle in relationships. So let me just take a quick step back. So for those that don't know, I work in media. I actually work in digital advertising. So what does that mean? That means that my job is to make sure that whatever the product is, whatever the client is, I put it in front of the right eyes. Meaning, if there is if Ford is wanting to advertise the latest Ford Ranger, my job is to ensure Gucci the latest Ford Ranger is advertised to one, a person who can afford a Ford Ranger, two, a person who's looking to buy a car, three, a person who is attracted to buckies and cars like that. So that is my job. So I use the power of media to sift that down, and then boom, and then I advertise to those people. So advertising in today's time is not just, oh, let's spray and pray, but it never was, even back 20 years ago or 30 years ago, before the whole cell phone situation. um, Another example is, if I'm trying to target a black demographic, I know Guti, I'm going to advertise to Mzansi Magic, I'm going to advertise to the SABCs. If I'm trying to target a white demographic, Afrikaans demographic, I'll be heavy on Supersport 1 during the rugby. I know that I can target guys and so forth and so on. Now, let's go back to my initial point. I grew up in a relatively conservative home, as many black kids do. And the beauty about being in a space where I grew up is that TV taught us a lot of things. So I grew up a single mom, and when she'd come back from work, she'd cook, whatever the case may be, and then she'd turn on SABC One, and we'd watch The Bold and the Beautiful. We never spoke about relationships. My only education from my mother and her peers or my aunts is, don't date, don't date. Study, finish school, get a good job, and then you'll focus on dating. So I never knew anything about dating from them. Who taught me about relationship? Rich Forrester, Brooke Logan, what's Taylor's surname? You guys will let me know. Bold and the Beautiful taught me about relationships. A couple of hours later, Generations taught me about relationships with Archie Moroka, with Queen, with Karabo. So all those TV taught me relationships. It taught me how to kiss. This is what kissing looks like. That's what I figured from watching TV. I never learned it from home. Fast forward a couple of years, when I got older, my understanding of a relationship or marriage came from my wife and kids. So I'd watch Michael and Jay manage the dynamics of relationships or marriage. So again, you'd have a situation where you've got this powerful, strong queen, black queen, and then you've got Jay, who's always there as a businessman who brings home the bacon. He makes all the money, yet she's the one that runs the household. So in a young person's brain, whether you're male or female, that starts seeping in. That definitely starts seeping in. So if you look at whether you're watching Bold and the Beautiful, the females, they tend to be very, very powerful, and they control the narrative. Whether you're watching Days of Our Lives, whether you're watching Generations, after Archie passed away, Karabo took over. Karabo no queen, powerful black queens. Again, the male took a back a seat to the females. Now you've got your Blackish, same dynamic, where the woman is the strong, powerful one, and the guy is more of the comedic joke. Ha 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 ha. The Simpsons, it's Homer Simpson who is working, bringing home the bacon, and you've got Marge who controls Homer. Homer's just this Popeye. Family Guy. We can name all these shows. That have conditioned us and conditioned men and women alike in terms of relationship dynamics. Now you add a whole new variable of social media. You add a whole new variable of people who are trying to show off, people who are trying to say I'm better than, people who are just posting their highlight reels. So they will be posting 100 bouquets with 200 rands in there. They'll be posting their trips. They'll be posting this. that is putting not just pressure on different people, but that is also conditioning how you view relationships. So you've got a lot of younger sisters who are 18, whatever the case may be, who in their mind, my partner needs to give me a huge bouquet of flowers with 200 Rand notes. I'm not saying with your conscious mind, I'm talking about your subconscious mind. Our brains are like this what's it called? It's an iceberg. The consciousness is only a small part of it. It's the subconscious, which is the huge chunk under the water that actually drives us the whole time. I'm not moving my hands consciously. Every time I touch, it's not a conscious thing. When I'm driving it's now my subconscious. It's now on autopilot. And a lot of us get into relationships like that based on all these years of learning what relationships should be like based on media. I was actually having an interesting conversation with a couple of mates, Izolo. Say a couple of mates. It was my brother and my sister. I'm sorry. So we're having this not to pain another my cousin. So we had this conversation talking about polygamy and polyamory. We're talking about relationships. And what came out again is the fact that you have a whole generation that has no idea what polygamy looks like. We only know it from TV. Uthando lwesithembu. Umseleko is the only reference that people have of polygamy. Imagine if your only reference of a dog is my dog, with Dennis. That's your only reference of a dog. So any other dog it doesn't exist. You only know this dog. Umseleko has shown ukuthi in a polygamous marriage or whatever the case may be, you need to have money. You need to buy this. You need to buy. Guys, yes, there are polygamous relationships where the man has all the money and looks after all his wives. Yes, that happens. But there's also ones where the guy doesn't pay for everything, where the family unit looks after itself very differently. What I'm trying to say is that what you see on TV is not for everyone. Not all polygamous relationships are like that. And I know you're like, duh, Penson, come on. But it's not something that is in your that you think about. So when you think about polygamy, instantly, boom, Selego comes in there. There's this show on Netflix where this young lady has multiple boyfriends, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, geez, what is that instilling in the sisters to come? Whether it's a good thing, bad thing, that's a debate for a different day. But what is that instilling? What will that look like in years to come? Because we'll have a new generation of girls that are coming through openly with multiple guys. What will that look like? What does it look like for the family unit? What will that look like for society? I think about all these things that media is pushing. A lot of you guys wouldn't have known that June was Pride Month if it wasn't for the fact that us in media were pushing it very, very hard. A lot of you guys would never have known about Russia and Ukraine if it wasn't playing on every single channel. There's wars happening every day in so many different countries that you guys know nothing about because the media is not pushing this narrative. So again, understand that media is trying to shape the way that you think. It's trying to shape and manipulate and push you in a certain way. I know, Uguti, when I'm doing a campaign for Rolex, if you've never seen a Rolex ad, you're not the target market. We tailor those ads for the new Rolex watch to the right person. Who can we influence? Who can we make sure that we target? There's people that have never seen Mocha Life or Chup Chup because they're not the target market. The target market is a certain people with a certain mindset. Guys, I try my absolute best. The same as Mark Zuckerberg says he doesn't let his kids do social media. I try my very best, just for one, starting with me. I don't watch any of this stuff because I know what happens in my mind. I know the more you start showing little girls about twerking, I know what starts happening in their minds. I know if you start showing little boys certain messaging, I know what tends to happen in their mind. I know what happens in my own mind. So again, when it comes to relationship, ask yourself, what is it that is actually intrinsic and naturally you versus the shit that you've been told through social media, the shit that you've been told through TV. A lot of the times we're putting our sisters under pressure, we're putting our brothers under pressure because of shit that we saw on TV. Guys, fucking hell. Senior in relationships, we're trying to fit someone else's mold. We're trying to put on someone else's shoes. It works for Michael and Jay on My Wife and Kids. It works on Rich Forrester. It works for them, but does it work for you? Guys, does it work for you what you're trying to do there? What they're doing? If it doesn't, fuck it. You know, stop putting our sisters under pressure. Stop putting our brothers under pressure, guys. Have yourselves a fantastic time. Comment, like, share, stay blessed. Sure.